That's right, folks, that was Father Jack, and this is an Aardvark Agenda tribute to both Frank Kelly and Dermot Morgan.
The Aardvark Agenda on Cavan Online Radio. You are tuned in to Cavan Online Radio's The Aardvark Agenda, an eclectic mix of shows on politics, movies, music, literature, interviews, and a whole lot more, Welcome to The Aardvark Agenda with your host, Daniel Downey, on Cavan Online Radio.
That's right, folks. Welcome to The Aardvark Agenda, and you're tuned in to a special tribute for Dermot Morgan and Frank Kelly, who both died on the 28th of February, 18 years apart. Dermot Morgan, who brought us the famous, always famous, Father Ted character, among other characters, which we'll go into later on the show, and Frank Kelly, his co-star, who brought us Father Jack Hackett on the same show. And it's a terrible, terrible thing, but just to start us off, let's have a little song from that show, just to get us all in the mood to remember them by fondly.
Shower with sugar lumps and ride you over fences, polish your hooves every single day and bring you to the horse dentist. My lovely horse, no more running around with the man on your back like a train in the night, yeah, like a train in the night.
We have to lose that sax solo.
That's right, folks, that was My Lovely Horse from Father Ted. And yes, you're tuned into the Aardvark Agenda, and we are doing a tribute to both Frank Kelly, who passed away on the 28th of February 2016, very recently, and Dermot Morgan, who passed away on the 28th of February 18 years ago. Two co-stars who brought the amazing series of Father Ted together, and both of them die the same day, 18 years apart. Well, we're going to go to Kelly first, and he's not just famous for Father Jack Hackett, that great priest that we all love. He's also famous for a few other things. Kelly was born in 1938 in Blackrock in County Dublin. He lived most of his life there. His parents were Kathleen and Charles Kelly, cartoonist and founder of the satirical magazine Dublin Opinion. He studied law and he tried journalism before moving on to acting. He then worked in acting in different ways through pantomime and theatre acting. And his first film role is actually an uncredited film role as a prison officer in The Italian Job in 1969. If you're watching The Italian Job, it starts off with Michael Caine, the main character, being escorted out of a prison in the opening scenes. And the guard, or the prison guard that's escorting Michael Caine, is none other than Frank Kelly. So just keep an eye out. He's not even credited in the movie. It's such a small part. But that was his very, very first film role. He went on after that to star in the popular RT programme, the children's programme Wonderly Wagon. And that was quite a long-standing one. He was there from 1968 to 1982. And coinciding with that, he also worked on Hall's Pictorial Weekly between 1970 and 1982. But it was Hall's Pictorial Weekly that set him up as one of the most famous faces in Irish entertainment. And he really kind of set his mark there, so he did. He also won a Jacobs Award in 1974 for his work on the series. In the early 80s, Kelly turned more towards more serious matters, and he turned towards one of his passions, which was learning Irish, in the RT TV programme Initius Arish. And at the end of that programme, he spoke into a telephone, gradually introducing Irish phrases to everybody else. In 1988, he moved on and appeared in the Irish thriller film Taffin. But, of course, that brings us into the 90s. And one of his main starring roles, ironically, it was a role which required the least amount of dialogue probably that he's ever had, but which he's famous for is Father Ted, of course. He played Father Jack Hackett, a crusty old priest who basically only shouts things like feck, arse, drink, girls, women's knickers, and things like that. In fact, one of the interesting facts is that he had to wear contact lenses to show his bad blank eye. People will know. But people on set wouldn't eat lunch with Frank Kelly because his dripping goo eye and his makeup was so disgusting. Well, look, Frank Kelly was a prolific actor and a great performer, and his performances didn't finish with the end of Father Ted. From 1999 to 2001, he starred in Glenroe as Morris and played Henry Doyle, father of Pierce Brosnan's character in Evelyn. He also appeared in the film Rat in 2000 as a priest called Father Pickle, and then he starred in the TV series Lex. And also he starred in a short film called Yu Ming Sanam Dum in 2003. So again, he just kept on playing numerous roles. He also announced that he would join the ITV1 soap Emmerdale and played the role of Dermot, Declan Macy's father. But he left the soap just after 5 months of filming because he missed his family in Ireland. He really was a home bird. He would regularly tour the US and Canada, but his home was always firmly rooted here. And of course, one of his next and final positions or acting pieces was as Judge Justice Cannon in Mrs. Brown's Boys, the movie. So, again, Frank Kelly has had a rich, prolific acting career and also a singing career. He sang 12 Days of Christmas, but it's an entertaining piece, and we'll try and bring that for you later as well if we have time. Well, Frank Kelly died on the 28th of February 2016 after suffering a heart attack. He revealed that he had been suffering Parkinson's disease in October 2015 and was recovering from bowel cancer at the time. His death comes exactly 18 years after the death of his Father Ted co-star Dermot Morgan. And he's survived by his wife Barbara, who's been his wife for 51 years. There's 7 children and 17 grandchildren. So he's not just left us the legacy of Father Jack Hackett among his other amazing contributions to Irish entertainment, but also a living legacy of many children and grandchildren. So in honour of Frank Kelly, I'd just like to say thank you very much, Frank, for bringing us tears of laughter, literally tears of laughter. I remember as a teenager watching Father Ted as it came out and just being gobsmacked at Father Jack Hackett. He was just incredible, and it was exactly the eye-opening, refreshing, satirical attitude we needed at the time, just as Ireland was waking up from the conservatism of the past. But again, Frank Kelly was not just Father Jack Hackett, and here we have a little clip from Hall's Pictorial Weekly featuring Frank Kelly, and this is from the sketch in that show, which is called The Reardons.
Looking at you, Mary dear, slapping the good Christmas butter on the sliced bread like that puts me in mind of that old Dublin saying you often hear on the wireless. Don't squeeze me till I'm yours.
I declare to God, Minnie, if I hear any more about those old Dublin sayings, I'll scream. And don't you mention Dublin when Tom comes in here. Ever since Eamon made a show of himself on the Late Late Show, Tom has been like a bull in a horse box. He's like a man whose milk isn't good enough for gateau cakes.
Speaking of cakes, if I were you, Mary dear, I'd put the odd cake on the table, just for a change from the sliced pan. I hear Tom is fond of a bit.
What do you mean by that remark, Minnie?
Oh, nothing at all. No, I'm sorry I mentioned cake at all if it upsets you. Sure, there isn't a woman in Leestown that has hands like you for slapping the good Christmas butter on the sliced pan. You got it from your poor mother, God be good to her. No wonder they call you Mother's Pride. I don't know why Tom would be wanting cake and you well able to butter his crust for him with the good Christmas butter.
Hey, you will shut up, you. My God, not bloody well good enough, eh? Well, I know what they can do with their old cakes. I'd rather a slice from my Nora any day. So what the hell are you cackling about? Your bloody eggs wasn't good enough either. St. Vincent de Paul Society sent them back. Hey, go on with that now, you wait.
Of course, Irish entertainment had a long way to go before it would meet the standards of Father Ted later in the 90s, and to which Frank Kelly would be remembered with such fondness, such laughter, and such belly-crunching laughter as some of these quotes here.
Drink. Feckle. What? Drink. Oh, drink. Feckle. Arse. Drink. Thirst. Frickin' bored again. Girls.
You're gonna thank me for...
Drink. I'm a happy camper. Water. Feck. Knicker. Drink. Drink. Girls, drink. 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 Feck. Women's knicker. I like cake. Drink. 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 Feckin' water. Drink. More water.
Such unbelievable energy and such unbelievable levels of entertainment from Frank Kelly there as Father Jack Hackett. And so, folks, we're moving on now to talking about Dermot Morgan. And again, Dermot Morgan was an entertaining comic artist who wasn't just confined to Father Ted. He had a lot more. Morgan was born 31st of March 1952. His parents were Donica Morgan, an artist and sculptor with a passion for dramatics, and Hilda Holly Stokes. Apparently, she was a celebrated beauty from Dunleary. Donica, his father, died young of an aneurysm, leaving Hilda with 4 children, who were Dermot, Paul, Denise and Ruth, who died in childhood. And Dermot then went on and married Susanna Garmott, a native Hamburg. They had 2 sons, Don and Rob, and he later began a relationship with Fiona Clark, with whom he had another son, Ben, born in 1993. So he was born in Dublin, educated in Oatlands College, Stillorgan, and moved on to UCD, where he became prominent as part of a team behind a highly successful RTÉ television show, The Live Mike, presented by Mike Murphy. Morgan made his debut in the media in the Morning Ireland radio show produced by Jean Martin, whose sister Ella was the mother of one of Morgan's friends. It was through this contact that Dermot Morgan made his break into radio and then eventually television. Between 1979 and 1982, Morgan, who had been a teacher at St Michael's College, Aylesbury Road, played a range of comic characters who appeared between segments in the show, including Father Trendy, an unctuous, trying-to-be-cool Catholic priest, given to drawing ludicrous parallels with non-religious life in 2-minute chats to the camera. His other characters included a GAA bigot who waved his hurley stick around aggressively while verbally attacking his pet hates. He lampooned the Thomas Osborne Davis song A Nation Once Again by singing about a dog who saves his IRA master by eating a grenade during a search by notorious British paramilitary unit, the Black and Tans. When the dog farts and the grenade detonates, the British commented, it must have been something he ate. The song climaxes with the words, I hope that I shall live to see Fido and Alsatian once again. And so Morgan was, again, a versatile kind of actor. He moved on and he worked initially on Kenny Live, Saturday Chat Show presented by Pat Kenny, which was launched to fill a gap in schedules when the Late Late Show moved to a Friday slot. He was also active in another show called Scrap Saturday. Now, Scrap Saturday probably became Dermot Morgan's most famous piece. It was where he came into his own in political satire, and he particularly went after the examples of Taoiseach Charles Haughey and his press secretary PJ Mara. And we have an excellent piece from Scrap Saturday where he takes the piss out of Taoiseach Charles Haughey and another person you may know, Bertie Ahern. So enjoy this, folks.
Now, Master Bertie, sit up here. What would you like? Go on, close your eyes and pick a portfolio. Any portfolio. Thanks, Mr. Haughey. Actually, I'd like all of them. No, don't be silly. That's not allowed. Do you think if it was constitutional for one person to hold all the portfolios, I'd put up with those other 14 gobshites and their so-called cabinet meetings? You want all of them. Man after my own heart. Greedy little gurrier. You know what I do with greedy people? You appoint them to semi-state companies. Oh, very droll. Now go on, pick a ministry. Let me see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a big portfolio. Can I have finance? Clever boy. Told you it would pay you to help me hang Albert out, didn't I? Albert? I did nothing. Precisely. Here's finance. Enjoy.
Of course, Dermot was also one for the music, and he had quite a few different songs, but most of them orientated around his love, again, of taking the piss out of various characters in Irish media, politics and so on. And here we have a lovely little song which completely rips the piss out of none other but our own Eamon Dunphy.
How's it going? There's been a lot of talk here tonight about jobs for the boys. No talk about the struggling folk singer who sings songs about people in jail. I used to have a great song called Release Nelson Mandela. Cheers, they released him. Used to have another great song called Free Nicky Kelly. He's out. Birmingham 6 are gone. Guildford 4 out. To keep this up, has no songs left to sing at all. But happily, there's one man who's been hounded by the fascist Free State Police Force just because he loves the freedom of the road, freedom from licence, freedom from insurance. I'm on thin ice here myself, I might add. Trying to fart. When they eventually get him, at least they'll have a song out of it. In Mount Jael one Monday morning, a silence fell and hushed the din, and the prisoners turned and looked on as they brought Eamon Dunphy in. The cons nearly caused a riot. Who'll have to share a cell with him? Get him out before tonight. Then the cons began to sing. Release the little bollocks in the wing. Get them out to here, I hear them sing. On the windows they are banging. Get them out the bring back hanging. Release the little bollocks in the wing. All together. Oh, release the little. Get them out to here, I hear them sing. Down the windows they are banging. Get them out the ring back hanging. Release the little Cindy. Now history has seen many famous heroes locked away behind a 10-foot wall. But you should have heard the roars and jeers for the man who once played midfield for Millwall. They locked up the great Nelson Mandela. They put away poor Oscar for being wild. But compared to being locked up with Dunphy, I'd say that Reading jail was fairly mild. Rudolph Hess was likewise fairly lucky. Dunphy they jailed him in Berlin. Luckiest of all was Nicky Kelly. He got out before they put old Emo in. Singing release the little Cindy Wing. Get them out to here, I hear them sing. Down the windows they are banging. Get them out there, ring back hanging. Release the little Cindy Wing. So they put poor Eamon in with a murderer, a man who was going down for life, who turned turned to him and said, well, hello, Blondie. How do you feel about being my new wife? Eamon started talking quickly about Lee Brady, attacking Maradona and Stapleton, John Hume, Jackie Charlton, Mrs. Robinson. You know the list, it just goes on and on. Now the psycho in the cell who fancied him more had to suffer this tirade the whole damn night. When dawn broke over Phipsborough next morning, the poor sod was swinging gently from the light, singing, release the little horse, friendly. Get them out to here, I hear them sing, skidoo-doo-ding, doo-ding. Down the windows they are banging, and about the ring back hanging, release the little horse. Now the next night in his prison cell in Mount Jai, Eamon was lying wide awake when the warder knocked and said, congratulations, the prisoners and the staff baked Judas cake. But soon his tooth hit something and his face creased. Then it broke into a ready smile. How thoughtful of the governor and the prisoners. They've even sent me in a metal file. Beside the file the note was neatly folded. He nearly swallowed it and made him cough. To read the words, the gates have been left open. Kindly take the hint and please fuck off. Last time all together, everybody in yelling, get an eye. Release the little horse in the wind. Get them out to here, I hear them sing. On the windows they are banging, get them out the ring back hanging. Release the little box in the wind. Good night, God bless you, thank you very much.
Of course, Dermot Morgan's Scrap Saturdays really did have kind of a biting edge to them. But, he wasn't just confined to satire. He also loved to kind of rip the piss out of things that he found pretentious. And around the kind of 70s, 80s, 90s, and God knows even today, there is that perception of the orts, where anything can be an ort. And Dermot Morgan really did love to rip the piss out of things like that. And here is an excellent, excellent sketch he did. And we'll follow it with another piece of him taking the piss out of Eamon Dunphy in his usual bitter, venomous style, which is absolutely brilliant. And here's another couple of Scrap Saturdays by Dermot Morgan.
Unbelievable, yeah. It really is a wonderful exhibition.
Yes, Mike, and a very important one.
Of course, yeah. Now, that piece there is very striking, yeah, isn't it? Though a tad abstract, perhaps, would you say?
That's a fire extinguisher, Mike.
Wonderful, yeah. What's the title?
No, Mike, it's a fire extinguisher hanging on the wall.
Fire extinguisher hanging on the wall, indeed. The title is so evocative, isn't it, really? So redolent of a post-neo, ultra-crazy...
Mike. You see, it just happens to be hanging there.
Oh, naturellement, yeah. It could just as easily be stood on the ground or on a table, but the artist chose to hang it. Symbolic, perhaps, of hanging to our lives by a thread, do you think? Death by fire and all of that?
No, Mike, it's only there to put out fires.
Highly symbolic, I agree. Putting out fires, a sign of purification, that striking red motif, the cold, steely texture, and that hose effect, a phallic metaphor, of course. Who is the artist?
The fire brigade, Mike. Now, if you'll just come over here, I'd like to have a
so
look at
the boys
splendid...
in the helmets, well, fair dues to them, that's what I say. They all got together, put their hearts and souls into it, and came up with this delightful exhibit.
It's not an exhibit, Mike.
Yeah,
no,
not an exhibit. Extraordinary, yeah, well... Just because they are firemen, perhaps? Disgraceful snobbery on the part of the organisers, I should have thought. In any other country of the world, that would be a winning award. If we had even...
No, Mike, the point is, it's not art.
Not art, indeed.
No.
Not at all.
No, I'm afraid not. It's just a fire extinguisher
Yeah.
for use in the event of a fire. It has nothing to do with the exhibition at all.
Well,
You would appear to have, if you will forgive the unintended pun, got yourself into deep water over your attack on fungi.
Yes, the so-called dingle dolphin.
An unpopular move?
Yes, of course it is. It's always unpopular when you attack this sort of thing. You see, people don't like to be told that the emperor has no clothes. They've been fed a diet of tabloid drivel about Dingy the dolphin.
Fungi. The dolphin's name is fungi.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, we've been told that here is an intelligent life force, a mammal, etc. The truth is rather different.
Now, Eamon, it has been scientifically proven that dolphins are very intelligent indeed.
My point is
I
that the Joe Soaps and the Decent Skins have told us and would have us believe that fungi is the real thing, the genuine article. But the truth is that fungi is not a great mammal.
Now, if we could pull you up on that.
Firstly, he's a sleight of hand merchant. He is basically a cheap, nasty convict. He is the Paul Gascoigne of the marine world. He has a few tricks, such as nuzzling your belly and hanging out with fishermen. He is for tourists. He is shadow and not substance.
These are very serious charges. Now, can you substantiate
they are
any
serious
of these?
charges. Yes, they are serious charges. If you ask Mick O'Dwyer, great manager, if fungi, the high-flying fungi, ever entered his calculations, you would be greeted by a resounding no. He was never considered for his club. He was never considered for county honours either. When the going got tough against Brian Mullins or Colm O'Rourke, where was fungi? Question.
Well, now, could we...
No, question. The truth, the unpalatable truth, the truth is that when it comes to real championship football, fungi is doing exhibition stuff for boatloads of tourists, doing sweet FA or FAI, if you like, and the rest of the Kerry lads know this.
But, Eamon, it is proof that he is good boost to the southwest in terms of tourism. I don't think that you can deny that.
That's total nonsense. If fungi is such a great dolphin, how come he has never been offered a series on TV? Unlike Flipper. Flipper was a great dolphin, a truly great dolphin, who had better dorsal fins, a better snout, and much better weather. When Flipper made those noises, he made it, which was particularly good. I like that.
That is a sea
credibility.
lion,
I disagree. No,
it is not
Flipper. Fungi is a charlatan. Even Skippy
was
the
a
marsupial.
kangaroo.
Yeah, but he had more cred, he had more beauty, and far better noise. He used to do those interesting sort of ones than my friend Fungi. So others may pine for Fungi, not yours truly. Flipper friendly, yes. Fungi friendly, forget it. I'll have tuna and heavy on the fungi, Harry. Rejected by Micko, rejected by the Kerry County Board. The only one who shouldn't reject them is John West.
And of course, Fungi is a personal friend of mine. He comes out to the island for dinner, herring provençal, and...
Oh, shut up.
Dermot.
Well, as we said earlier, from this Scrap Saturday material, Dermot Morgan went on and featured in Father Ted. He was already a celebrity from this, but Morgan's big break outside Ireland really did come with Father Ted. Ran for 3 series from 1995. Writers Graham Linehan and Arthur Matthews auditioned for many actors for the title role, but they said that Morgan's enthusiasm won him the part. Father Ted, as most people will know, centred on 3 disparate characters. Father Ted Crilly, played by Dermot Morgan himself, who lives a frustrated life trapped on the island. Then the next one is Frank Kelly, plays Father Jack Hackett, a foul-mouthed and apparently brain-damaged alcoholic, while child-minded Father Dougal Maguire is played by comedian Ardal O'Hanlon. The 3 priests were looked after by their housekeeper, Mrs. Doyle, who was played by Pauline McLean, whom Morgan had worked with on Scrap Saturday previous to that. Father Ted enjoyed widespread popularity and critical acclaim. It won a BAFTA award for Best Comedy, and it's one of those absolute mainstays of Irish comedy. It really is something that you can always go back to for pure entertainment, time and time and time again. So, a day after recording the last episode of Father Ted, Dermot Morgan had a heart attack while hosting a dinner party at his home in southwest London. He was rushed to hospital but died soon afterwards. His sister Denise said he wasn't feeling great at the end of the meal, and I went to the bedroom with him. He had a heart attack and I didn't recognise it. From my limited training in first aid, I wasn't exactly sure what was happening. The symptoms didn't match what the book said. I said to him, "I think you're okay," and we went back to the table. He apologised for having left the room, and the next thing he just collapsed. We tried to resuscitate him, but it didn't work. He had a massive heart attack. Father Ted co-star Frank Kelly has died 18 years to the day, and he said, "Dermot's mind was mercurial. I think he was a kind of comedic meteor. He burnt himself out." And that's generally the consensus about Dermot Morgan, that he lived so furiously that he certainly couldn't live a very long time. And in a 2009 interview, comedian Tommy Tiernan, who acted with Morgan in the final episode of Father Ted, recalled filming the scene where Father Ted dances to the theme from Shaft. He continuously flubbed his lines as a result. Morgan was required to perform the dance repeatedly, despite pains in his heart. He believed that this constituted to his fatal heart condition, which happened 24 hours after they filmed the scene. So there was an underlying condition there, but the furious energy and the absolute dedication and passion that Dermot Morgan had for his role as Father Ted just outdid his body's potential to keep up with itself. And therefore we lost a very, very, very excellent entertainer and comedy actor in Dermot Morgan 18 years ago on the 28th of February. So, folks, we're going to bring you a little bit of it's a documentary. It's called Small, Far Away, The World of Father Ted. And it's just a little bit of this documentary which features interviews with some of the writers and just some of the background stuff. And I do urge you, if you have access to the internet, which you should do if you're listening to this podcast, then do watch. They're available on YouTube. Just type in Small, Far Away, The World of Father Ted. They're in 4 parts. Each part is about 10-15 minutes, so it won't take you too long to watch them. But here's a little taster of the very first one, and enjoy.
It captured a kind of Irishness, Irish humour. It's more than that, but a kind of specific Irish humour that you'd rarely see on screen.
It was sweet and funny and ridiculous. Just a bad dream, Your Grace.
I'm Graham, by the way. We wrote it. Did you ever see Father Ted? Did you ever see that programme?
Great. Great been Dougal 25 times.
The impact of it doesn't seem to have sort of faded in any way from what I could see.
You bastards!
I liked hitting Dermot on the head with a hammer.
Where your mind goes blank because your head has just been frozen.
The man himself. Wonderful.
It was always good. It ended good. We stopped it before people got sick of it. You can't really ask for anything better,
Well, we'd come here usually in kind of November and we do the stuff outside the house. We'd be here, one series was 10 episodes, one series was 6, one was 8, so 2 weeks to 3 weeks we'd be here.
I think it's somewhere around here.
He said it was the one at the end.
There it is, Ted, look! It's huge!
Calm down,
We're here, Father.
Take off.
Hiya. Do you know what was filmed here? Do you know where we filmed it?
You filmed it a bit back there where the bench is. There.
Really?
Yeah.
Father Ted, we watched him many a day here.
What, you actually saw it being shot?
We did, yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Good Lord.
We have a mobile home on the side, so...
Oh, I see.
We remember the old one, the small little one
The
that
old
they
one
had
was
here, the
here.
one that they rocked from side to side.
Did it tip over? I forget. Did
It did, yes, they tipped it over,
That's
yes.
That's right.
Yes.
So you saw it being
We
done?
saw it
That's
all being
amazing.
filmed here.
There's probably no one in Ireland who hasn't seen an episode or loves everything about it. That dog, he probably loves it. Did you ever see Father Ted? Did you ever see that programme?
Isn't that sweet?
Well, folks, we could play reams and reams and reams of material, but what I would urge you to do is probably to YouTube that documentary, have a little listen. It's nice reminiscence of the filming of Father Ted, and nice behind-the-scenes material as well. And also, just watch some Father Ted. Pick it out. And remember, don't just confine actors to one series or whatever. If you do manage to dig out Hall's Pictorial Weekly or Scrap Saturday or anything, have a peek. For some people who are younger, maybe from a different generation, may not be able to connect with it or may find difficulty connecting with it. But sure, look, have a go. It's always interesting to see familiar faces in different roles. And so that's all from myself, Daniel Downey, here on the Aardvark Agenda, just doing a little tribute to Frank Kelly and Dermot Morgan, two absolute comic heroes of my own and Ireland. And I think we've lost two absolute gems of Irish culture on the 28th of February, both years. And ironic that they should both be both meet their end at exactly the same time. One, the exact drinking age later of the other one's death. So Frank Kelly, Dermot Morgan, from all of us here, Cavan Online Radio, and myself, Daniel Downey, thank you so much for all the years, all the hours of constant entertainment, and all the tears of laughter and doubled over laughter that we've had. So folks, thanks for listening and hope you enjoyed. We're just going to sing you out with one of the original songs by the Divine Comedy that features the Father Ted theme song. And then we're just going to have, what I've done is a little cut of constant Father Jack profanities and materials to entertain you throughout the end of the show. So again, thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in for some more. And we'll be back next week. Okay, bye-bye.
Pale, pubescent beasts roam through the streets and coffee shops. Their prey gather in herds with stiff knee-length skirts and white ankle socks. But while they search for a mate, my type hibernate in bedrooms above, composing their songs of love. Young uniform minds in uniform lines and uniform ties, going around with trousers on fire and signs of desire they cannot disguise. While I try to find words as light as the birds that circle above, to put in my songs of love. Fate doesn't hang on a wrong or right choice. Fortune depends on the tone of your voice. So sing while you have time. Let the sun shine down from above and fill you with songs of love. Take me. Doesn't hang on a wrong or right choice. Fortune depends on the tone of your voice. So let's sing while we still can, while the sun hangs high up above. Wonderful songs of love, beautiful songs of
Drink? Feck off. What? Drink! Oh, drink! Feck off. Arse! Drink! Arse! Frickin' bored again. Girls!
You're gonna thank me for
Drink! I'm a happy camper! Water! Feck! Knicker! Drink! Drink! Girls! Drink! Feck! Women's liquor! I like cake! Drink! 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 Feckin' water! Drink! More water. Drink! Drink! I love my break! Drink! Feck off! Drink! 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 Shut the feck up! Drink! Arse!
Over a pint of vodka a day.
Yes! Drink! Drink! Feck! Drink! Feck off, cup! Drink! Feck! Drink! Feck off! Drink! 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 That would be an ecumenical matter. None! Drink! 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 They lie in wait like wool. Drink! 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 Oh my God! Drink! 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 Yes! Earth! Drink! Jacob's Creek Chardonnay 1991. Bronze! Feck! Drink! Feck off! Drink! Drink! Oh, yes! Nuns! Nuns! Reverse! 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 Drink! 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 Hey! 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 You! Drink! 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 Earth! Drink! Drink! Girl! Drink! Drink!
You listening to me, Jack?
No!
I'll be seeing you in apple blossom time. I'll be seeing you to change your name to mine.
Art! Drink! 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 Rats! Drink! Drink! Don't tell me I'm still on that feckin' island! The smell of blood in their nostrils! Drink! 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 Feck off! Drink! Feck! Drink! A pair of feckin' women's liquor! Drink! Drink, girl! Feck! Feck off! Waiting! Interminably waiting. And then...
Father, where did you get the air freshener?
Car! Drive the car!
Have you been drinking?
Yes!
Where did you drive?
Shops! Drink! Corner! Stops! Got out! Truck!
Truck!
Drink! 2 trucks! Drink! 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 What the hell is this? Drink! 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 Hairy Japanese bastards! Drink! Arse! Ah! Faggot! Woman!
I really shouldn't be here.
The arse! Nudie Father Jack! Arse biscuit! Drink!
I didn't give a damn about my wife, our kids.
Yeah.